Be careful.
He's and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
And that's when I said, "Get off me, Grandma, I'm done."
Hey, ho,
we're live. Hey, anyway. So, welcome to the Acement, everybody. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
It's time to go behind the funny.
Yes.
I love
that come from?
I love messing with you.
You like throwing me off at the beginning, huh?
But thank you so much for joining us, everybody. It is going to be a fun night.
Yes.
We got a great guest for you tonight. But before we do that, our bourbon date this week
is I think I dated.
We don't like
I
to-
think I dated her before. It's
we don't like
Whistle
to we don't
Piggyback.
like to call our dates a name, but this
Her name is Whistle Pig, and her nickname is Piggyback. Small batch, 100 proof, little smoother than last week. It's not quite the 175 proof that you brought in last week,
but it turned out to be good.
it turned out good.
It
Yes.
turned out to be
Yeah,
good.
but this is good. This is Whistle Pig is. It's a pretty expensive one, but
And
this
they're out
is,
of Vermont.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're out of Vermont.
I've seen like the 12-year normally.
Yeah,
the
in a
12
glass
and on.
case.
Yeah, but the 6-year is really good.
It's
I
very
really
good.
like it. So
It's
if
very
you get
good.
A chance, check that out, Clinky's buddy.
Clinks.
And we're on a run of some amazing guests over the next month. I mean, not that all of our guests aren't amazing, but we've got some.
Sometimes we book guests from week to week because just the way they get back to us and the way it lines
Yeah.
up, and sometimes we just get.
good
Ace
run.
gets a run of people that say yes, and he stacks them and lines them up for
Yeah.
a period of time, and that's where we're at right now. We're coming into the slow period for stand-ups. I know.
So it helps.
Yeah, Ace and
they're
I did.
available.
I got to do a show with my buddy last weekend. We had a
Yeah.
blast, and now things are going to get a little quiet. So we're going to, really ramp up things here on the podcast for you guys.
Yeah, we'll get to who is going to be coming up on future shows a little bit later. But our guest tonight, we have mentioned him before. We love this guy. So if we go back to when we first started doing this audio and video, when we first started
Couple
coming
years
on
ago.
video, it was a couple of years ago. We had our buddy Mark Riccadonna from New York, New Jersey, and Richie Byrne on.
Yep.
And they invited us to be on their channel, Drinks, Chokes, Chokes? That's a different
Okay.
channel. Never mind.
Move this
Yeah.
over. That's
Drinks-
a porn channel.
Yeah, sorry. I had something else on the mind. Different channel. It's not so much a channel as a category on the site.
True.
Anyway,
True. Search engine.
But no, we got invited to be on their station on Twitch, which is called Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. There's a bunch of great podcasts that are on there, and we used to. It's funny because we used to have meetings every once in a while where everyone would come together and talk about cross-promoting shows.
And in typical comedian style.
Yeah, it didn't last so long. I think we had two meetings on a Saturday
Yeah.
morning. But this week's guest and next week's guest are two comics that were on the channel because they had their own podcast, and I love this guy's podcast.
We
watched it
were
for a
on
long
the same
time
night with him for a while, and we would sit here and watch before our show.
before we would do our show. Yeah, and he had all kinds of different interesting guests, so it wasn't just comedy, but. We love this guy. Very, very funny. He's been a stand-up. I don't know. We'll find out how long.
We're going to find out.
From the Jersey area, he has worked at clubs not only as a comic but as a booker, and so he is the host of Hi, I'm Jason podcast, and so let's welcome Jason Pollock. Let's bring him in. There he is,
Hey,
Jason.
what a nice build-up. Thank you,
like that?
so much. Wow.
You were afraid of letting us down before. You must be on edge now.
I know. Who do you have next week? Who's next?
We got Frank Vignola coming next week.
I got a lot to live up to today. Whatever I let you down with, Frank, I'll pick up the slack.
All right.
That's why we booked him in this order.
You're not gonna let us down because you are funny without probably even thinking
Without
about how
trying.
funny. Well, you must know because your bio even said it's how does it? The bio says something like uncomfortable.
I didn't write the bio, obviously. Justin Gonzalez wrote the bio for me.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yes.
Who was another guy on Twitch on Drinks,
Yes.
Jokes, and Storytelling. But it was, how does he word it? It's, you'll love his uncomfortable style of comedy.
Yes, that's right.
That's it.
Like I'm talking about, or like rape jokes and stuff. I really do keep it clean. Believe it
No,
or
no,
not.
no. It's not that you're making the audience uncomfortable. It's that you look visibly uncomfortable when you're talking.
Hold on. How did he transition from?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm doing rape jokes, but I really keep it clean.
He went to.
How do you make that transition right
See what I
there?
mean by
He's
uncomfortable?
doing it. He's
Exactly.
doing it. He's doing. The only other person besides Gilbert Gottfried that makes me laugh when he does this.
Yes,
He just holds
yes,
his head.
yes.
It's I was diagnosed with Tourette's. Believe it or not, I've
really?
had nervous tics my whole life.
Get out.
But I got really exacerbated in 2020, which means to make it worse. I learned that from Shaun of the Dead. But it got exacerbated, so I've got a facial tic that I'm just learning to deal with.
Get out.
Okay.
But I got to
didn't
tell
know
you,
that.
my wife loves it now because she likes to sit on my face. So, so I don't know. Can I talk about that on your show?
Yes,
Anything you
can,
want.
sir.
Anything
This
If I'm
is
you want.
looking, if I'm
explicit.
looking relaxed and she's feeling horny, she'll put the news on and
just send you off.
Right.
Oh my God! Now, how come that's not a Netflix special? That guy Louis Capaldi's got a special that he talks about Tourette's and tics and stuff, and we got to get you a special because that'd be even better when you talk about how instead of talking about how you're having trouble writing songs because of your tics, you're actually giving your wife pleasure because of your tics. I think that would be a
I
better.
gotta take
I like
that
how
positive
you tried to
spin.
radio skate around that, just
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
giving your wife pleasure.
Pleasure, yes.
Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt her,
No,
so he's right. Ace.
yeah.
No,
He's
no,
got
but
an ace in the hole.
we can pretty much say what's going on.
I
and
know. I don't know why I didn't just
you
go
tried
for
to AM radio skate around the subject.
I
With
don't know.
that one.
I know. Got a microphone in front of me. All of a sudden, I think I'm on radio. Hey, it's time for traffic. 10 past
That's
the hour.
right.
Now, speaking of which, I know this is off the subject, but I literally just got a text. June 29th at a park near my house. They do free concerts in the summer.
Yep.
Hanson is coming to give a free concert.
No. And you got the
these
offer
guys,
to open for him?
Yeah, that's
God,
his,
I didn't even
that's
think
his
about
de-
asking about that. Wow.
That's his
I'll be living the dream.
That's your demographic.
That's right.
That's your demographic.
40-something-year-old guys who are still clinging to being 13.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
That is my demographic.
Yes. They still got their book bags and everything.
Hey, listen. Go for it. Bop.
You think about the boy groups that came out at the same time. You had Hanson and you had the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah.
And really different career paths.
Yeah. And you know what? The Hanson brothers were talented. They weren't
How many
untalented.
songs? How many hits did they have besides
They had
Umbop?
one.
Did they have?
had one, but I mean, they were good. That little girl could sing and play the drums.
They were boys.
They were all boys.
They were all boys.
They were all boys. Yeah.
They were all boys. Yeah.
Okay, I feel suddenly creepier than I did before. Because
Yeah.
I thought the little girl was cute.
I know
Hey,
they.
I'm Chris Hansen, and we're about to talk.
I know they were kind of non-binary looking.
He said, "I'm Chris Hansen."
Why don't you have a seat right there and grab a cookie?
Yeah, have a cookie. don't bother putting your clothes back on.
Did you know you were coming to see a 13-year-old girl?
Yeah.
Oh God.
No, I thought it was a 13-year-old boy who played drums and sang. All right. I don't know why I just got turned into the
Wow,
creep.
you
How the
you
heck
did
did
that
that
to
happen?
yourself.
I didn't even mean that. Oh,
Let's-
shit.
I, listen,
All right.
I don't know why. I'm so glad you guys still have a show 'Cause I can listen to you banter. The accents alone make it.
Hey, what accent are you talking about?
Hey, what the
are you-
fuck is this guy talking
I know.
about?
What are you talking about?
This fucking guy over here.
So, yeah, let's get back to Jason and stop talking about Hanson. That is exciting. So you're going to go see Hanson at the park for free?
Because
He's
it's
going to have a
for
front row
free.
blanket.
Is it for free?
Oh,
Did you say that?
It is a free concert. You know, that reminds me, in the 90s, I went to see Frankie Goes to Hollywood give a free concert in Philly. They
No
did
way.
a 10-minute version of Relax. It was like,
Because that's all they had.
it was
that
so sad. It was raining. I counted, there were 12 of us outside watching the show.
Oh, my God.
It was just such
Was-
a sad state.
Was Relax their closer?
It was
It
their
was.
opener, closer, and encore. That's all they had.
It was the concert.
Oh, they did. Don't forget Two Tribes. Two Tribes go to
Oh,
war.
that's right.
So they had 2 songs. And they just revolved the
I-
set.
You know, if I sung that in key just then, you'll have a copyright infringement on the show, so I better be careful.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that why you purposely did it off key?
You know what we'll do?
That's
no,
exactly why.
You're
we'll
smart
put it
man,
through-
Jason. Smart man.
when Scott edits, we'll put it through a voice changer so it'll be off key.
It'll
It'll be un-auto tuned.
yeah. Witness protection karaoke.
Yeah.
Relax, don't do it.
All right. Let's get back to Jason.
Yeah, Jason. You know how long have you been doing comedy for now?
I set foot on stage for the first time in 1999. So
Oh wow. So 24
20
years.
Is it 24?
Yeah.
Yeah.
24 because this year will be 34 for me, and I started in '89.
That was really quick math. I'm Jewish and I can't do math like that. That was amazing.
I shouldn't be doing math that fast. No, I only did it because you said 99, and I started in '89, and I know I'm coming up on 34, so that makes 24.
Oh, okay.
It was a whole.
Well, then again,
X
you
plus Y
you
equals
also
Z.
live in Goodwill Hunting territory, and I
Yeah.
know one
Good
of
point.
you guys down there is very good at math.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
point.
That's true.
Now, do you remember your very first time on a real stand-up stage?
Yeah, my first show was at Caroline's, and it's been all
Whoa.
downhill from. It was a.
It went downhill
It-
from there.
It was. I took a class at the American Comedy Institute.
Okay.
I forced myself to do it. I read an ad in the Village Voice saying this comedy class, take it, and the graduation shows at Caroline's. And I thought, what a great way to set foot on stage for the first time, you know?
Yeah.
Like, force yourself on stage and start out at Caroline's. And it went really well. My friends who were there didn't think so, but the rest of the audience who doesn't know me thought it was great.
They loved it.
Right,
Wow.
Yeah, and then at the end of the show, this woman said, we do a showcase at the New York Comedy Club. Want to be part of it? Yes. And of course, being the novice that I was, I thought I was getting a second booking. But it was an open mic showcase. I think I was the 32nd comic on the show.
Oh my
There were
God.
2 audience members left, and they were both my friends sitting up
'Cause
front
they waited
looking like
for
they were
you.
going to kill me. Yes.
Don't ever ask us to come to one of these things again. I'm not sitting here for 4
Well,
hours.
and that's what I was going to say. You
Yeah.
took that class, you go to Caroline's, obviously legendary comedy club. You stand on that stage for your first time. It almost creates a kind of a false expectation
mystique.
because when you go out 2 weeks later to do just a normal open mic, you're like, wait a second. I was just at Caroline's 2
Yeah,
weeks ago.
yeah.
This is not what I expected this to be when you're in some smoky bar. Because in 99, there was still smoking, obviously, in restaurants and bars and stuff.
My God, that's right. I remember doing a show in
'Cause-
the Poconos, and the stage is really high, and there was like a cloud of smoke.
Yes. Because I started in 2002, and
Yeah.
I remember that there were clubs like the Comedy Connection in Providence. When we went there,
Oh.
it was like a haze that came down from the ceiling a couple of feet. So when you're up on stage, like your head is in this fog,
Yeah.
and everybody else is down below you smoking away. You know, so
when I used to play there, because back in the day they used to have like 7 shows a week. It
Yeah.
was, if you got booked there to headline, you were there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 shows Friday, 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday, and every night when you got home, you literally had to strip your clothes off,
Take a
in the hallway
shower.
and take a shower because it
stunk.
was
Oh yeah,
so
you're
bad.
you smell awful.
yeah,
Well, incidentally, that behind me on the wall, that's not a picture of Washington crossing the Delaware. If you look
it's not?
closely, it's Washington cross-dressing the Delaware. He's in a dress.
I can't say.
Well,
oh, man, I wish.
Luckily,
I
you're
was
not in
more.
Texas because that would be illegal.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Oh, that's right. Unless
Yeah,
you're George
so-
Santos.
Yeah, true.
So any of our fans in Texas, don't watch this, just listen to it.
Yeah, just listen. So the first time was at Caroline's. Who taught the class that you took?
A guy named Steven Rosenfeld, who I believe is still alive and kicking.
Really?
He was.
I don't know if I ever
I'm
heard
saying
of
that
him.
because he was older then. If he happens to be seeing this, you look great for your age now. If you're still alive.
And you know, Scott just picked up his phone and he's looking up
I'm
Stephen Rosenfeld to see if
absolutely.
he's still alive.
Absolutely.
That's funny. So the first time was at Caroline. Second time was this
New York
big long
Comedy Club.
showcase.
You go up a mic, and then a Rascals Comedy Club opened up in Cherry Hill down the
Okay.
street from my house, which is an A-list club. I was very familiar with that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in there, became the door guy, then worked my way to general manager. So I took a break for a few years and just
Didn't
hung out
do
with
any comedy at that time. You didn't.
Something about managing a club and then getting on stage and bombing. You don't,
Yeah.
and then you have to be in manager mode. You're not going to get the same respect. Not that I got respect
True.
as manager anyway,
No.
but
No, that's true. Because if you're booking comics and you're telling them, "Hey, I don't know if you're right for this club," and then you're getting up and bombing it, you're right.
Right.
You probably lose the respect. So that makes sense. How long did you do that?
I was 2003 to 2007 when we closed. We were forced into bankruptcy. The hotel didn't want to renew the lease.
Oh, really?
Had nothing to do with me, I swear.
You weren't. Well, no, I won't say it because we do know someone who was skimming money from comics from another famous comedy club that also has a place in New Jersey, but had one up here in Rhode Island as well.
Well, I did get a great reputation, though. I mean,
Yeah.
besides not paying, of
Of comics.
running a comedy-friendly, artist-friendly comedy club.
Yeah, yeah,
You gotta treat them with respect when they come into your room.
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you got treated with respect. You just never really got paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was. You got
Rascals,
one
when
kind of
when they
respect.
sent me the checks to give to the comics,
Yeah.
they were happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always uncomfortable when you work for a booker and he has you taking care of paying people and you get there and there's no checks or there's no money and everyone
Yeah.
was told to see you to get paid.
Right. Right.
That's such an awful feeling.
Yeah.
That only happened
Oh,
to me
yeah.
once, luckily.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know what
Well-
to tell you. You got to call them. you
Well,
know?
but in hindsight, it wasn't the club. It wasn't the owner of the club.
No.
It was the manager, the local manager, who was screwing people out of money.
Right.
And I don't want to name the club because
No.
I don't want to catch.
You know, that's the juicy
Anything.
stuff we want to hear. But yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah, I don't want to catch any.
Yeah, and we don't want to rise up against anybody.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Rise up.
I don't want to catch any shit from rising up. And,
It's not
Speaking
about
of rising
starring
up,
in anything.
yeah, it's not starring anything, right?
We don't want to star in anything.
Is it good?
It's amazing.
What the hell is that?
Never gonna give you up.
Is that a
We
Rick-
just got rickrolled.
Rick Roll.
We just got rickrolled by Jason.
Oh my god!
That was my favorite Christmas ornament that I received this year in the mail.
Really? It was a big head of Rick.
Rick Astley.
Rick Astley. Oh
I have
my
a
God.
twisted friend who it said do not open till Christmas, so I waited till Christmas Eve, opened it up, and it was a giant Rick Astley head that I used as a
hilarious.
tree topper.
Did you really?
Good for
Oh
you.
my god!
Good
Now
for
is
you.
your wife Christian or?
Well, I mean, I was raised full blood Jewish, but
Yeah.
my wife is not. She's Italian Catholic.
Oh, all right. Yeah, yeah. So that's why you have a tree and.
You'd
a
think
tree
there'd be
top.
better cooking in the house, but
No.
no.
she didn't get that gene.
No.
Oh boy.
Can she make a good brisket?
Yeah.
She does make a killer meatloaf.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Well, that's redeeming. Meatloaf is good.
That's
You know, every time we meet, where she gets upset because it came from an animal.
Yeah.
So I have to tell her, you know how you watch porn and they look like they're having a great time.
Yeah. They're not.
You just tell yourself, it's like substitution.
Yeah.
Tell yourself the meat comes from trees.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Think about those poor women that had to, have sex with Ron Jeremy in the later years.
Right.
Okay.
But they looked like they loved it.
That's the thought you want her to have while she's eating meatloaf?
I don't know. He brought up porn. I just brought it to the next level. I'm sorry.
Okay. I mean, that's just, hey, honey.
No, I'm sitting here trying to do the math. Like, all right,
Hey, honey, while we're having kielbasa, this is what I want you to think about.
doesn't Hanukkah usually start before Christmas?
Yes.
It
So-
changes depending on what the Hebrew calendar tells them.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, I would have told my friend, listen, I can't wait. I'm opening it on Hanukkah for the first night instead of waiting until Christmas because I'm Jewish. I can get away with it. But maybe not. I guess I couldn't. He could.
Were
I
you going for a joke
technically-
there?
I was trying. Just
I
the
really
dead
could have
silence
opened
tipped
that.
me off that it didn't go so well. So
I could have opened that the day I received it in the mail because what could he really have done?
right, yeah. How is
I mean,
he gonna know?
I just didn't want to be that much of a dick.
Yeah.
I know you were waiting for the surprise for me to open on Christmas, but you know what? You.
Exactly.
My house, my rules.
That's right.
Damn right.
Well, how the hell are you supposed to use it as a tree
right.
topper if you can't use it all through the holiday season? You know.
Thank you.
You
for
should have been able to
understanding.
open it in Thanksgiving, or whenever you put your tree up.
So,
Yeah, I don't know how we got on this subject. Because he rickrolled us.
because
that's
you
why.
rickrolled
Oh,
us.
because I rickrolled you. I'm so sorry.
That's
No,
all
no,
right.
no. I love
It doesn't
it.
take much to throw us off.
You know
Jason.
what? 300 episodes, first time we've been rickrolled.
Yes,
Well,
it
it's
is.
okay.
I thought you were going to
First
say.
time we've been rickrolled.
I thought you were going to say it was the first time we've gone off on a tangent.
No, that happens every 5 minutes.
yeah.
Every 5 minutes.
I'm
now
so
it-
proud to be your first rickroll.
Yes.
I don't know. I get weird when the conversation's all about me. I tell that to my therapist. I'm like,
Yeah.
it doesn't always have to be about me. She said, yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Paying me for.
Especially when you're a guest on a podcast or laying on the therapist couch. It really is. I don't want to
Right.
know what he's going to pull off the wall next.
Now, when you started comedy, did you deal with any type of like stage fright or anxiety getting on stage?
Oh, I got
or things
horrible
like that?
stage fright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how
Yeah, I
did you
used to go
overcome
do-
that?
Just doing it over. And once I had an act where
Right.
I knew what I was going to do, well, I didn't realize how important it was to really just repeat your act over and over until
Right.
you did and perfected it.
Mm-hmm.
And after almost 30 years, I finally feel like I found my stage persona.
Yeah.
I know there's people who've done great things after several, like under 10 years, under 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just, because my stage fright was so bad. I remember my ex-girlfriend at the time used to say, I can't be with you. You won't eat. You won't do anything. After the show, fine. I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
But nothing before.
shower and eat. I was a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a friend like that, comic from here in Rhode Island, Brad Pierce. He's the same way. Cannot eat. He paces before the show. He can't eat. He just can't think about anything until he's off that stage. And then he feels great. And he's
there are
fine.
times he gets himself so worked up
Oh, yeah.
that it affects his performance on stage.
Yeah.
So and
Yeah.
you can't talk him down. You can't do anything. He's got to deal with it himself.
Well, the other problem with him is if you tell him, and we've talked about this before, if you give him any limitation whatsoever, and it could be ridiculous. It could be like, listen, man, you can do whatever you want. You could be as dirty as you want. Just don't say the word peanut butter. He will go up there and after 5 minutes totally melt down and go, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but yeah, I'm going to address the elephant in the room and talk about peanut butter now for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
And he can't help
he
himself.
can't get it out of his head that he can't say it, so he has to say it.
No matter what
Do
it
you
is.
fuck with him on purpose?
Oh
yeah.
God,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, all
Yeah.
the time.
We love doing that because it's fun. Because that's what friends are for.
Yeah,
Right.
all the time. Set him up for stuff.
I remember talking. There's a museum in Philadelphia called the Mutter Museum. It was a museum
Yes.
of freaks and medical oddities. It's really cool.
I've
Uh,
seen shows about it, and when I was in Philly, I wanted to go there, but
Oh,
I
it's
never
worth a
ended up
visit.
making there. I heard it's
Yeah,
amazing.
and you've been to Philly a
A
few
bunch.
times for business.
Yeah, I never seem to make it to the Mutter Museum, but I'm
Next
familiar
time we'll
with
go together. It's
it. All right,
awesome.
that'll be awesome. We'll do it. For
But I remember doing a show at Rascals, and there's a table I didn't see them off to the side. There were people with like all kinds of disabilities, deformities, missing limbs, and special needs. And I didn't see them. And as I'm talking about the Mutter Museum on stage, I said it's a museum of freaks and medical oddities, and happened to motion to the table. And I froze when I saw what I was looking at. And I
Oh my god!
said, you guys would love it. And it was so uncomfortable.
You might find your grandmother.
Oh God,
Oh,
That's bad.
we've talked about that a few times on here because I've been known to do that more than
He's done
once, where I say something in a room of people where I really shouldn't have said that, and I literally the one famous story I've told on here, I won't repeat it.
You can.
You
Tell
sure?
him for him.
All right, you haven't heard before.
Yes, I haven't heard.
Early in my career, I was only a couple years in. A friend of mine asked me to put together a fundraiser show for a high school football team. I'm like, no problem, I can do that. So I get a couple of comics I'd worked with a few times to be on the show, and I'm going to host it. So we go there, and we're starting the show, and I'm doing the hosting thing in the beginning, and it's going fine. And all of a sudden, this one guy yells something out, and I say something to him, and he yells again. And at the time, I had this really bad Catholic priest molesting people joke. And I then did it, and I said, this is probably you, not realizing that the high school football team was at a Catholic high school, and the person that said something was the priest that runs the school.
Oh God.
Yes, the entire crowd in that very instant decided they hated my guts. And they were no, well deserved. Well deserved. They decided in that moment, we're not going to laugh at you anymore. We're not going to clap for you. We're not going to cough while you're on stage. There will be no noise whatsoever while you do your set.
Sounds
I
like
did-
something I would do.
I did the next few minutes to dead silence. I bring up the first of the two headliners, basically, who does great. They're laughing like crazy, clapping. He brings me back up. They literally, as I walk up to take the mic, they like cross their arms, stop clapping, give me nothing for like 2 or 3 minutes. I bring the headliner up, close it, laughing, clapping, going crazy. I come up to close out the show, arms crossed, nothing again, and that's how we ended the show. And they actually asked if I would give them $200 of the money back.
Wow. So I would have just said, so by now laughing, you're telling me you condone molestation.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna. I pretty much would have
wasn't
gotten
gonna
my ass
die on
kicked
that hill.
at
Yeah,
at
right.
that point. That was not
What
a
about-
battle I was willing to
My
fight.
my
at that
my
point.
story that I was going to tell at the end
Yeah.
is so similar to that. But I feel like I should wait.
All right, we can.
Yeah,
hold
that's
off.
fine.
Yeah, because
That's-
we
That's fine.
the
Now,
audience knows that we're going to ask you about the funny bag gig, but I want to ask what I thought you were going to tell the other story.
the gun.
No, your other faux pas.
You have another
one?
story?
When you made the noise.
Oh, I don't like that one.
Yeah, I like that one.
I don't like that.
So
one.
he was doing a show.
It wasn't even a show. It wasn't. We were at a high school, and they wanted to do. They were doing this health symposium, and they thought it'd be fun to have some comedians come in and talk about laughter is the best medicine. So I had our buddy Mike Murray go with me, and students would come in and sit for 15 minutes, and we do our little talk. And first session goes okay. You know, they're high school students. They're only so interested in what you have to say. And then they next group comes in, and I'm doing the opening talk before Mike does his part. And from the back of the room, I hear somebody yell something out. I just heard, "Ah!" And I went, well, somebody's having fun. And I heard in unison every kid in the room go, And then I couldn't see really well, but I glanced and squinted, and it was this girl in a wheelchair with her head falling to the side. And yeah, it was a special needs girl that they wheeled into the room to watch. And
Oh
yeah,
God.
no, Jason, just to one up it, this was the high school my wife worked at as a teacher,
As a special ed teacher.
as a special ed teacher.
How
wasn't-
fast did
it-
that story get back to her?
Oh, very fast. She wasn't in the room when it happened, but heard about it pretty quickly.
Scott slept in his camper in the driveway for about a month.
Oh,
No,
my
I think she even took the keys to the camper. I slept in the car. That was
my God.
not good. Not good.
That's
I worked with special needs after I left Rascals and I
yeah.
thought, I fell in love with these guys. There's there was about 40 of them, and I would get a group of about 5. They're kind of high functioning on different levels of the spectrum.
levels of the spectrum.
And I would have to take them and supervise them while they do a job, like clean a parking lot or clean an apartment complex. And I was like, this is a great reality show. Take 5 special needs people and a comedian to leave them alone together.
That is a
Let
great
the
idea
magic
for a
happen.
pitch.
Oh my God.
If the American public wouldn't feel so guilty watching that
Right,
and
yeah.
laughing, that would be a great show. And
Well,
I
you know-
loved them.
But I'll bet you it would be turned around almost like The Ringer. Like people thought The Ringer with Johnny Knoxville was going to be so
people
bad.
Still do.
No, that movie was
no,
endorsed by the Special Olympics.
I know, but there are a lot of people that still feel that it was.
But the special needs kids had the best lines
They
and made everyone else look stupid.
yeah.
So that's
They
what was
did.
great about it, and I love that.
And they
movie.
loved it. They loved
Yeah.
the attention. They loved the spotlight.
Yeah.
Well,
But, I mean, there are so many moments. Like I remember we took them to the park for their break, and I was in the van just sitting there checking my texts because it's my like little free time.
Mm-hmm.
And this one girl, Janice, said, "Jason, Jamel's throwing sunflower seeds at me." And before I could say anything else, she threw in, "That's my sister died."
Oh my God.
And then she tagged it with, "And one of my dads."
Oh my God.
I don't know what kind of sunflower seeds these were, but
Right.
they're pretty deadly, obviously.
They killed her sister and 2 dads.
Well,
That's
they
crazy.
just there was another movie that just came out with Woody Harrelson, Champions.
Yeah.
That was
Similar
very
concept.
very similar, where they had real special needs people that played the parts.
Yep.
And they were very
He
good.
was a coach of a unified.
They were a
special
basketball
needs
team, and it was a very. I watched it. My wife and I watched it. It was actually very good. It was funny.
Yeah.
Heartwarming.
I never heard of that. Is it new?
It's new,
Brand
Yeah,
new.
within the past
One of the
6
Farrelly
months.
brothers directed it and co-wrote it, and it's based on a true story about a guy that coached like minor league basketball, and he got in trouble with a court. Like a legal case, and to do his
restitution.
his community time, they put him in charge of a basketball team that was a special needs basketball team. He had to coach them. But then he got caught up in it because they started to do pretty well and played for a championship. And, so they show the dynamic of this guy that's a professional basketball coach trying to make it into the big leagues, but now he's coaching these kids and, but then he gets caught up in who they are and everything. And yeah, it's a good movie.
It's cute. Yeah,
It's
it looked like it was.
It's a good movie.
Looked like it was a good movie.
Very different Woody Harrelson type of movie.
So
Yeah.
when you were working in that field, when you were working with the special needs kids, had you gone back to comedy at that point? Because
I was just doing
done?
comedy at nights and weekends,
Yep.
and this was just during the day, Monday through Friday, with the special needs.
Yep. So it freed
I thought
you
a
up to be
one-man
able to
show
do
about
comedy.
these guys would be amazing. There's a woman.
I was just
who-
going to
she
ask
was-
you if you ever brought any of that to your act.
A little bit. You gotta let them know how much you love these guys, but
Yeah.
Right,
typically
right.
they
Yeah.
just do funny things.
Right.
Like there's one woman. She was in her 60s. Her father just passed away. He's from Germany, and she said he fought in World War II. She said, "You want to see him? I have a picture of him." As she's telling me how much he'd love me, she showed me his picture, and he had a swastika on his hat. It's like, oh my god. She's like, he would have loved you.
No, he wouldn't.
Dinner. No, yeah, no.
I hate to tell you, sweetheart.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Hey,
He would have
hey,
loved you.
And all you can say is thank you.
I know. I love the irony though, because
Right.
that he ended up having a special needs daughter after
Right.
what they would have done to special needs kids.
Right.
I'm
right,
bringing down
yeah.
the mood here.
No,
No, it's
not.
real. It's real.
But
But
that's
you
what-
know,
good.
That's what Behind the Funny is all about. It's
all these things
how
that
we think.
right, and all these things we experience in our life, that job, that moment, they do affect who we are when we step on stage, when we write our material, because
Right.
we all draw from our lives. So in some way, those moments kind of
They
shape who
mold.
you are as a performer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
They used
So-
to freak me out because they looked so. I was going to say they looked so human. I mean, they were real people. But they looked so. They
They almost
like
look
me and you.
real. It's
They
like
looked
Disney,
like us.
like they're Disney animatronics or something like that. They're so lifelike.
It was just their minds. Their minds are so. There was one guy who.
Their minds are like whipped cream, but other than that, they're human.
Jesus Christ. You didn't have to go there. You're busting
Oh
my
my
balls
God.
about liking the ringer. Oh my God.
They got to wear hats with gutters on them, but
All
other than
right,
that,
all
they're
right,
absolutely
enough.
normal.
Oh my God! I'm
you're going to
hell.
hell. Yeah. Thank
both
you.
did that.
We just said it.
That was
we
a-
just said it together. Jinx, you owe me a soda or a bourbon.
I gotta,
when we go to the Mutter Museum, we'll drink some
I-
burban and talk shit.
I gotta
about
give
Scott.
reference. That was
I
a
love
Jim
that.
Norton line one time on
Yeah,
Opie and Anthony.
Yeah. Great
The
great
hat
one to-
with gutters.
great one to quote.
Oh,
my
that's why
God.
it was funny. Hey,
I'll
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you started back doing comedy after Rascals closed, and
yeah.
what are some of the high points of since you came back? What are some of the high points of your career? In other words, are there people you've gotten to work with or shows that you've gotten to do besides opening for Hanson in the park?
I befriended Judah Friedlander, who's I love being
nice.
friends with one of my favorite comedians.
That's
And I got to
awesome.
play Bigfoot in his book How to Beat Up Anybody, which is a hilarious karate book.
Oh,
And
really?
they took one of the pictorials of me as Bigfoot. I was Bigfoot because the key to fighting Bigfoot is resizing. So he resized himself to be larger than Bigfoot, and then play him in basketball.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And beat him,
That's
'cause,
hilarious.
And they had a pictorial on Maxim, and I said, if I was going to be in Maxim, it's got to be Anna Kournikova on the cover, in which they obliged by my rules.
Oh, nice. That's nice that they
But
did
yeah,
that
she
for
was
you.
on the cover.
Just totally coincidence, though, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
which is
That's
actually how I met my wife.
Really? Was she in Max?
I was
Through
saying
Anna
the show-
Kournikova?
It all ties together. She
Yeah.
was working. She was a manager at Barnes and Noble,
Uh-huh.
and I went in to ask if they had the Maxim, and kind of bragged a little bit that I was going to
I'm
be in it.
Bigfoot. I don't mean to brag, but I'm in Maxim this month. Oh, really? Is it the hottest men issue? No.
You know what they say about guys with big feet,
I'm
don't
Bigfoot.
you?
I'm Bigfoot. Oh my God. No, really, that's me. Under that ape costume. Yeah.
Yeah, you can take my word for it. It's really me.
No, that was before they shaved me down.
Yeah. Oh my God.
No, so
really?
she's working in the Barnes and Noble. You go in to buy it, and that's how you guys met.
She was. I thought she was really cute, and she was telling me she loves old Jewish comedians like her. Sid Caesar's one of her heroes. Jack Benny, Woody
Oh
Allen,
my
the Grouch,
God.
the Marx Brothers. And I said, "You have this great taste in like old school comedy, and you look like this. We're gonna keep in touch."
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And then you said,
How do you feel about Georgie Jessel? Because that's my favorite comic.
That was
and he
really
doesn't
good.
get as much as he should. Georgie Jessel
Oh
was
my
funny.
God,
Perfect.
I've been
Perfect
waiting.
reference.
that was spot on.
Isn't that good? Isn't that good?
Yeah, too bad. I never got to work with him. I wanted to so bad.
That is Ace does a lot of great impressions. That is by far one of his best.
Yeah, it's one of them. You know.
That's really impressive.
Thanks. Yeah, the other one I like
Can you
doing
do-
that Norm Macdonald, you know, because yeah, you know, Scott
Okay,
asked me
that's
the
kind
other
of
day.
Peter Griffin, aka Peter
Yeah, well,
Griffin doing
no,
it.
actually, Peter Griffin is more up here.
That's great.
We're gonna run
I
through
know.
his
We're
whole
gonna-
repertoire.
No, I'm not gonna
No.
do it.
I'll stop. That's okay. It's fine.
It's
Mr. Gottfried, it's truly an honor.
It's an honor for me, too, because essentially I'm dead. So the fact that I'm here live talking to you is fantastic. I came back
I'm
to
laughing
life
like it's real.
just to talk to another Jew. Because,
there's
you
none
know,
in
us
heaven.
Jews are known for rising from the dead anyway. Jesus was a Jew, in case you didn't get that
Can
one.
you write a new?
I know. It always comes back to Jesus.
I'm sorry. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, that's my problem with being a homeowner, because you have to fix things yourself unless you can afford a contractor. Because I knew one Jewish carpenter and it didn't work out too well for him.
Hey, I tell ya.
That was my opening line at a synagogue that had a comedy show, and they hired me. And I said, "I'm sorry, folks, if I seem a little nervous, but the last time one of my people was in front of one of yours, it didn't end so well for them." They liked it.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, they liked it. They loved it.
Wait, it's aceto, not aceto.
It's aceto.
Or how do you,
Aceto.
aceto.
Agid.
Ajid.
Yeah, means vinegar
Italian?
in Italian.
Does it really?
Yeah, my father used to literally buy vinegar bottles that had the word aceto on it, so that he was proud of that.
That's the little things.
Yeah,
When you come to
exactly.
Philadelphia, I'm gonna have to have you autograph an aceto.
All right, a bottle.
Bottle
Yeah,
of
absolutely. Is that where you live now? You live in Philly?
Outside of Philly, the little town called Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Oh, right over the bridges there that go into Philly.
Over all the bridges. Yeah.
Over all the bridges. Yeah. I used to work for a company in Philly, GlaxoSmithKline. So I used to go to Philly all the time, and a lot of the
Did you know
folks.
Doug?
Yeah.
Knew it. I'm kidding.
You live in Connecticut. Do you know Bob? Of course I do.
Well, people do that with Rhode Island
Yes.
because,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I get it, but there's a million people here, No,
They're
but
just crammed in there.
exactly. A lot of the people that I used to work with used to live right over the bridges in New Jersey, like Mount Laurel and that area. Mount
Yeah, I
Laurel's
live near
north.
Mount Laurel.
All right, Mount Laurel is south. Yeah.
My town is older. We had Revolutionary War battle was fought here.
Really?
Yes.
That
in fact,
qualifies as older.
Yeah.
people at the museum told me to dig in my yard and
And bring anything
back.
back?
I found nothing. They said redcoats slept in your yard. Like,
Really?
You think they would have, if they were sleeping and they dropped anything? You think anyone would have found it by now? It's been,
Yeah, 200 something years.
yeah. We found a horseshoe.
Did you really?
Yeah,
an
really-
old, like an
from
old
near-
old one?
An old one. It had a date of like 1922 or
Oh,
something
all right.
on it.
So it wasn't from the Revolutionary War, though.
It's so weird. The house was built in 1875, and like this room had people in it who have died
Yeah.
years ago.
Ooh, okay. Now we
Oh.
get into our other area
Yeah,
of study.
Exactly. You realize
Have you
our-
had-
our other side thing is we are really into paranormal stuff, and we actually dedicate the entire month of October, which we call Scottober, to paranormal guests, and we've literally done investigations at like haunted locations.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I've been laying on the bed petting my cat, and she'll look up and go behind me.
Yeah.
And I look, and then I'll look back. She's like, "Psych." So I don't think there's anything in this house.
Cat's like, I'm just fucking with you.
Gotcha again.
Yeah.
Fucking cat.
So let's get back to Judah Friedlander. So you got friendly with Judah, and you were in his
He's one of the
Maxim
nicest guys in
spread.
comedy. Yeah.
Really?
You know, a lot of people have wow moments where they just worked with him, but you actually,
No, you're
you know,
friends with him, right?
Yeah, you made a connection with the guy. That's
Yeah.
big.
Now, because you're right near Philly, do you play Helium?
I haven't because
Yeah.
I've been to New York more, even though
Yeah.
I'm closer to Philly. I hate the parking in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
But, I'm doing Philly's Funniest they've been doing it 17 years. I've been against competitions in the comedy world,
Yep.
but
Gotta
I'm
get your
just so
scene.
happy with my act, the way it's going, and how I
Good.
finally found the character I'm writing for on stage. If that makes sense.
Yeah. You found your voice, and now you're writing
Right.
more stuff for that.
So July 23rd, I'm gonna do Philly's Funniest.
Good for you.
Oh, that's
And,
awesome. Where is it?
Helium.
Oh, it's at Helium.
It's
Oh,
at
that's
Helium,
awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing I've talked to younger comics about. For every comedian, it's different as far as finding that, like you said, writing for that your character on stage, right?
Yeah.
You know, or as you know, a lot of people describe it, finding your voice. They're like, "How long did it take you?" And I said, honestly, I started just a few years after you in 2002, and maybe the last 5 years is when I really started to feel like I was writing for who I was on stage. On stage, I felt like I was kind of in that comfort zone of knowing who I was and what I wanted to say and everything. It's only been maybe the last 4 to 5 years that I really kind of felt that way, and I really felt like I came into my own. And I know, like you said earlier, there are some people that it seems like within 6, 7 years, all of a sudden they find their voice.
hit it.
10 years, whatever it is. It's different for everybody. You just, all of a sudden you'll have that moment where everything you write seems to fit with what you're saying on stage and who you are in the moment.
And then, unfortunately, it depends on where you are at that time.
Right.
I felt like I came into my own in like the mid 90s, early 2000s, but I was still here.
Right.
If I had made that move to New York instead of Western Mass, what would have happened?
Right. And you were a different person then than you are now.
Yeah.
So, it's all different. So you said you finally got there now. So this seems like a good time, like you said, to do an actual competition. Because I, like you, Jason, I'm not a huge fan of competitions.
Yeah, I mean, comedy's so subjective.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I also
But,
feel.
Oh, sorry.
No. I was just going to say, I also feel that when you're more along in your career and you do competitions, I think it's better because you're not trying to figure out your voice while you're doing the competition. You know who you are. You know your act. You know what's going to work.
Right.
I think my biggest problem with competitions is, and we've talked about it before, because I'm such a storyteller. And competitions,
That's what I do. Yeah.
The challenge is, okay, your first set, you've got 6 minutes. Fuck, what do I talk about? That's one story, and you have to learn how to take your jokes or your stories and trim them down into jokes. And that's always been my challenge, but I'm trying to get better at it. And I would love to develop a couple of competition acts.
Well, let me ask you, how does it work at the Philadelphia competition that you're in, Jason? I'm certain there must be some kind of rounds and stuff like that, but how much time
There's
do you get?
a lot of people are involved, a lot of good people. I sound like Trump. A lot of good people.
Fantastic
Excellent.
people. They're the best people you'll ever see. I'm not, and it's not just me saying it. Everyone's saying it. Okay.
You are good, Abe.
Fantastical.
It's fantastical. It's a fantastical competition. I'm saying it. They have a big, beautiful wall all around the competition.
The most beautiful one.
Beautiful, big, beautiful wall.
I'm sorry.
Oh
guys.
my God.
I love to bait him into it. I apologize. I love to bait him
That was
into
kind
it.
of my fault. I take the blame for that. I suck.
Yeah.
You pretty
Yeah,
much,
there's
if you mention
a-
anyone that I do an impression of, I'm going into it.
All right, you sign up. You pay your $25 registration fee. You sign up, and they give you like 10 free comps or paid comps. Sorry.
Paid comps.
No, I think that was redundant. to say
Yeah,
free
paid
comps.
complimentary tickets.
That's
In other words, you paid for them.
yeah. That's
They send you a schedule like for the next 2 months of every show and for your preliminary round. Mine is July 23rd, and that's one of the last shows. And I think, from what I understand, the audience votes the first 2 rounds, and then there's judges for
And
the
then
next
it's
3
judges.
remaining rounds. Yeah,
Wow.
now. How much
I've
time
never
do you
done it
get?
before.
How much time do you get for your first round?
It's about 5 minutes.
Yep.
Now,
Okay.
are you comfortable? You feel prepared to do just 5 minutes?
I really have to time my stuff. I'm comfortable in a feature spot
Right.
or a regular show. I'm comfortable, but I got to figure out if I can do the same act the next time around.
Right. Do you have to come up with a different 5 minutes every time? Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's if I got to do 25 minutes, great, no problem. If I got to do 40 minutes, great, no problem. But if I stop in somewhere and
5
ask
to
somebody for a
6.
spot and they go, yeah, can you do like 7 minutes?
No
I'm like,
idea. I have
"Oh,
no idea what
shit.
to do."
I don't know how to
Right.
kind of shape it into only like 7 minutes. So that's why I was asking, because I wanted to see how you
gonna
approach it,
approach
because
it.
you've been doing it long enough now. You're probably used to doing a little
I
bit
mean,
longer
there's
sets.
people who have it down to a science. Leanne Lord, for example. I remember when
Yes,
She used to
very
come to the
good
club.
comic, Leanne Lord.
Great comic,
Very
and-
good comic.
well, the other comics are on stage. She'd be looking at her notes, and it's like she has it down to a science. It's meticulous. How she's an example of someone who's just so prepared.
Yeah. We talked to Tom Cotter, who was on America's Got Talent, friend of ours.
yeah.
He was on season 7, came in second place, and like he had 90 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
And one of the things about Tom is his comedy is very,
Rapid
quick
fire.
punchline, rapid fire anyway. But he still compressed everything even shorter, because he said whenever he got on stage in that competition, his goal was laughs per minute.
Yeah.
How many laughs can I squeeze in per
Every
minute?
15
Because
seconds.
I got
every
90,
15 to 20.
90 seconds. So he goes, as many laughs as I can cram in to that 90 seconds, I'm going to cram in. So if I can shorten a joke and get a laugh in 15 seconds instead of 20, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And if I can, tagline it and get a quick laugh after 5 seconds after, I'm going to do it. And he had everything mapped out for every single set, and that's why he did so well. And that's why he made it to that final 2 like he did, which no other comic has done since. Because
yeah.
he put that work into it and was so prepared for it. I look at that all the time. I see comics on there, and they've had great comics on the show. Josh Blue, I think, is hilarious. He's a very funny comic, but man, when you go walk out there and like, all right, give us your best for 90 seconds.
Yeah, that's
holy
tough.
shit, how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean these guys are pros.
They are. My hat's off to every comedian that's walked out on that stage for 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I would do. I've done that at home and tried to think of what would I do for 90 seconds on that show.
I don't even know.
I don't know how I would do it.
I don't even have a setup that's short as 90 seconds.
Exactly. I'm not done saying thanks for coming out tonight. How
Yeah.
you guys doing in 90 seconds?
Right.
It's
You
that's amazing.
Are you a naturally funny person, like in your regular life? Do you have that persona?
I think so.
Or
I think I am. I'm the guy that, at the party or hanging out, just like Ace is known as the funny guy at the party type of thing.
Impressions,
I think
yeah.
I'm that guy too at family events or hanging out at the bar. My sister has a restaurant and bar. When I go there, people want to hang out and, and I chit chat and I'm making everybody laugh type of thing. So yeah.
can you do it then? Do you think if someone says, all right, 90 seconds, go?
I think if somebody said that, I would have a hard time. I'd get in my own head and be too anxious about it. But if I have no pressure on me, I could do it.
Yeah.
I would have to figure out a way to be able to flip that switch. That's a good point. That's a great point.
I think it's easier for me because of the impressions. So if someone says 90
Right.
seconds, make me laugh, I would just go into Gilbert Gottfried and then, Peter Griffin or just a couple of impressions that would make people, laugh.
Right,
but that's an easy thing.
But
it's
if you
easy with
but
impressions.
okay, let's I like how we're doing this right now. You're on America's Got Talent. You do that first round. It probably goes great.
Yeah.
You move on to the next round. Maybe you do a couple different impressions.
Right.
Third round, you still doing impressions?
No.
Is it still going to
Probably
work
not.
all the way to
Yeah,
the end,
no,
doing
I
that
don't
same
know.
thing every time?
Well, and that's why you get sick of some people on TikTok because they're doing the same impression. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love some of these guys. They do amazing impressions, but how many times can I see Mark Wahlberg and who this? I'm thinking of a particular guy.
There's
who's
there's one
he's
guy that does
fantastic.
Mark Wahlberg and Vince Vaughn
Vince Vaughn
together
all the time.
all the time.
Johnny O or something like that.
Oh.
He's his.
And it gets old after a while, especially
He's
if they don't have jokes
amazing.
to go with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. He's amazing, but then it goes to even that other
So
guy.
funny he just said that.
Even the other guy that does Arnold Schwarzenegger for everything. Here's Arnold Schwarzenegger ordering Dunkin' Donuts. Here's Arnold Schwarzenegger doing this.
But the one thing I'll say about that guy is he's not a comic. He's a voiceover artist.
No, he's a voiceover
So at
artist.
least I'll
That's
give
true.
him a little wiggle room.
But the other guy's a voiceover artist and an actual actor too.
All right.
It's just he does stand up too. I mean, again, his Vince Vaughn. I'm studying him doing Vince Vaughn.
Oh, he does
that I can start doing.
He
Vince
does
Vaughn.
a great Vince Vaughn. The voices are good.
I gotta look him up.
Jono something Wilson. Jono
I know. I
Wilson?
could see his face, and I could see him doing the
he's
impression.
really, really good. Don't get me wrong. It's just after a while, it's like, okay, it's a different situation. It's kind of like when you would see old time impressionists on TV where they would say, like, the toughest thing with being an impressionist is not coming off hacky. And it's really difficult because when you look at those guys from the 70s and 80s, it was always, it wasn't what they said that was hacky. It was always the premise was hacky. It was like, oh my God, I went to LA, for an audition and I was on an elevator in the hotel and you never guess who was on there with me,
Can you imagine Marlon Brando as a waiter?
Yeah. Hey, I do that.
I know. That's why I said
thanks.
that.
I'm sorry. You want some coffee? You a dessert? No? Okay.
No, but I would.
I'll make a special you can't refuse.
Yeah.
Dueling Brandos.
Dueling Brandos, yeah.
I never wanted the fish for you, Michael. I wanted so much more.
Yeah, I wanted you. All right. Anyway,
Just
no,
like
but
the
it was
trip.
always like, hey, yeah, you won't believe who was on the elevator with me, Pee Wee Herman. It's just a hacky premise. Even if their voices were really good, you have to, in order to do that, you have to come up with something that's a premise that isn't done by a million people.
Jason, and you just said it a minute ago, what Ace told the story when he first started comedy. He went on stage, he did impressions, and when he got off stage, his mentor, Charlie Hall, said to him, your impressions are very good, but you got to write some jokes.
Original material
Original
around 'em.
material to do the impressions with.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to continue to do this and actually, do comedy.
Well, but I also, at that time, I didn't even have any material. All I did was I would go on stage and act out movie scenes, like the actual movie scenes, to make it funny.
That reminds me, there's a guy out of Boston right now named Roger Cabler.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
yeah.
had Roger.
We had him
a
on.
a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So you know Roger.
The Robin
Yeah.
Williams thing.
Yeah, but when he does it, I was expecting Robin Williams act. But what was brilliant about what he does is he's just doing his own jokes as Robin Williams.
As
with
channels.
Robin Williams, he literally channels
He
Robin.
channels
Williams.
Robin Williams.
It was awesome.
I told him. So you saw his show, Being Robin?
Yeah, we come down to our theater in Delaware.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he was amazing. He was someone that we both looked up to for a long time, and then I friend requested him, and we got him on the show. You got to go back and listen to that episode.
He was an
I told him-
absolute sweetheart of a man.
And I told
He was
him,
a
I
sweetheart
said,
of a man.
I would put him up as the same as Jim Carrey doing, Man on the Moon, doing the Andy Kaufman story, because he didn't just do an impression of
He
Robin
became
Williams.
Robin.
He literally became Robin
Yes.
Williams. I mean, when he changes his face, and you could see Frank Caliendo talks about it all the time about the triangle from your nose down to your mouth and how you change that in order to get into an impression. When Roger becomes Robin,
His eyes
his
change.
eyes squint, his face, everything about him. looks like Robin Williams.
Yes.
And then he does the voice and the cadence and everything, the mannerisms. And like you said, he's not doing Robin Williams' act. He's literally just being himself. Well, doing his act as Robin Williams, or as if Robin Williams was still alive and writing.
It's like Robin Williams wrote a new act.
Yeah.
It's fresh material done as Robin Williams.
I definitely
Yes,
want to see it.
He needs to be more successful.
Oh my God, yeah. Do you know he had his own TV show back in the 90s? He had a TV show,
A
sitcom, and it was
That's
about,
right. I remember his bio.
Yeah,
It said star of 2 failed sitcoms. I was like, you should take that out of your bio.
It was actually
you know-
a great story when we talked to him about it.
it really was, because the whole concept of his story was, it was a black-owned radio station that hires him to be the new DJ by only hearing his voice. So they think he's a black DJ. And then he shows up and he's this crazy ass white guy who does all these voices. And it was so good because it so tackled race relations and stuff like that. And I was like, how did that show not get bigger? Because I remember it. The night they filmed the pilot was the night of the Rodney King beating.
No, not
The
the,
riots,
beatings.
the riots.
The riots
After
from
the
the
verdict.
verdicts when the
Yes.
cops were found innocent.
And he said after that, the executives at the station or the ABC and they were so afraid to tackle those issues head on and be funny about it that they watered it down, and it ended up not doing, not moving
After
Oh,
like
forward.
that's
two
a
or
shame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he is so talented. You're right. That's so funny how you literally saw him, and he was on like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, he was such an
Yeah,
interesting
we got him
guy.
down here in October.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll
Yeah.
have to tell him that you that a fellow comic saw.
He
saw
was
it and
super
loved it.
interesting, super passionate about it. Very
So nice.
Yeah.
Really.
he was.
Did you get to talk to him after?
I had him on my podcast. That's why I
Oh,
met
you
him.
did?
Oh wow!
Oh, I
so
didn't know
you
you
know
had.
then you know.
Well, okay, it was kind of a weird story how I met him.
You were in the
I
park
went-
watching
I went
Hanson.
to close.
And you went to the men's room and heard this on the stall door. Knock, 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 knock,
Hello.
knock, knock.
Mr.
I
Happy.
owe it all to Larry.
And you said,
Storch.
Governor, I'm not coming in the
Hey.
stall again.
He said, "What'd you say? I owe it all to who?"
Larry Storch from F
Larry
Troop.
Storch. Really?
I was at one of his birthday parties, and we sat next to Bill Kirkenbauer,
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
Yes.
who is Roger Cabler's manager, as it turns out.
Right.
He said, "You book a theater, I handle." I was like, "You're Bill Kirkenbauer."
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Coach.
Coach.
Coach, make me laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just said, and my Toastmasters people are going to crucify me.
Are you part of Toastmasters?
I was years ago.
I am the Wizard of Oz and ums.
I love it.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so if it wasn't for Larry Storch, I never would have met Bill Kirkenbauer, who thus introduced me to Roger.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And that's how you got
So
him on
thank
the
you,
podcast.
F Troop.
That's so funny. Larry Storch just died last year, right? He was like 99 or 98.
A couple months ago, yeah.
Yeah, not long ago.
He
Yeah,
was
it's funny.
gonna be on
We've talked about Bill Kirkenbauer. I've reached out to him to be on the podcast, but he was in the middle of his move. He's living in like Indonesia.
Thailand,
Yeah, he's living in
Indonesia,
Thailand or
somewhere.
something. I do enjoy his food posts. He posted something the other day. He goes, "I don't know what the hell this is." It looked like corn soup with a scoop of meat ice cream. It looked like
Ew.
chocolate or meat ice cream and then
Ew.
something else. I don't know. He said, "No, I'm not eating it." So yeah,
Meat
I didn't
ice cream
realize.
does not sound appealing.
Thank
No.
you.
No.
It
Well,
really
and
turned me
hence,
off by
hence
saying
Bill's that was Bill's post. But no, it's interesting because when Roger started talking about it, I didn't realize that Bill was, his manager, and then Bill's been posting some funny stuff about some lady that reached out
Oh, that was funny.
asking to book Roger for the show. at like some retirement community, and
In
he said
Texas.
you couldn't afford us. Yeah, it's just funny to see them going back and forth.
Oh, that's a shame.
but yeah, I coach Bill Kirkenbauer.
Who's one of your comedic influence? Now it's become an interview. Aha!
All right.
Now I am the
He's turning the
interviewer.
tables on us now.
It's just a conversation.
Yeah, that's it. We've talked about it before, and I watched the rest of this documentary the other night, and I really want to get this guy on the show. So if you have any contacts with him, but not the person I'm going to name, but the person who did the documentary on him. We've talked about it before. From a comedy standpoint, the best storyteller was Bill Cosby. Now he ruined
He was.
he ruined his reputation.
They're raping.
And he ruined his he's trying to bait me into getting into Norm Macdonald again. Yeah, everyone says the worst part of the Cosby situation was the hypocrisy. And I don't think it was the hypocrisy. I think it was the raping. Yeah, it wasn't the hypocrisy. It was raping. No, he ruined his legacy, which is sad because if you watch that documentary by M. Kamau Ball,
Bow? Yeah.
he did the documentary on him. Are we going to talk about Bill Cosby? It's amazing how much stuff that guy did before being a shit bag.
Well, before we found out.
Before we found out.
He was
but,
a
I mean,
shitbag.
he was the first one. He pressed for black actors to actually have black stuntmen. Like there were no black stuntmen in Hollywood until he did I Spy, and he pushed to have a black man as his, as his stunt double.
I never realized that.
Yeah.
So what, do they have stuntmen in blackface?
I guess so. I don't know, but that was eye-opening to hear how many great things he did. But unfortunately, it was all the bad stuff that he did. And, it's not excusable.
He's doing that
It's
on one
undoing
side,
it.
but behind the
Right.
curtain, he's
but that's
doing
what I
this other
mean.
stuff.
So
it's
he's undoing
tough.
all the good that he did. But when you talk about influences on me, because he was such a great storyteller, and I've said this before, Ron, if you listen to Bill Cosby's greatest hits, he tells a 5-minute hilarious story about Buck, which was a game they used to play in South Philly as a kid. And it introduces the character of Fat Albert. And at the end of that story, which everyone is laughing at, he goes, "Okay, I told you that story so I could tell you this one." It's like he literally did a joke to set up another joke. His storytelling abilities were amazing. He acted
Bill Cosby
stuff out.
himself, that whole
Exactly.
movie was absolute genius.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why it's so. And I listened to everyone on that documentary. It's a 4-part documentary.
It's heartbreaking.
And it is heartbreaking because there were so many people that looked up to him, and he ruined that. And I can't erase all the great comedy that he wrote, but I have no respect for him as a person,
Right.
because of what he did. And then you hear about just some of the creepy shit that was so subliminal that we were like, how did we not know that?
You weren't looking.
How did
No.
we not
You weren't
realize
looking.
that?
You
Like,
weren't
Let's say
he
you're
did-
choking to death. Somebody grabs you from behind and saves your life. You turn around, it's Bill Cosby.
Right. Yeah. That's what it feels like. Because even in that documentary, they talk about it. They said, all right, so he wants to write a sitcom and he wants to be a doctor. Could have picked any type of doctor in the world. What does he pick?
Yeah.
An OBGYN.
OBGYN.
And where's his office? In the fucking basement of his house. Like, if that doesn't scream, Hannibal
I never
Lecter.
realized that before.
I know.
And that's why you got to watch this documentary. It's so good, because it really does. You really do grapple inside with what you're feeling about how much you respect some of the things he did, but then you're despised by the other things, and they're unforgivable. It's so yeah. Sorry for the long answer, but yeah, I would say that was one of my influences. That and Carlin was a big influence on me. And then we've said it. A lot of people who do impressions talk about Rich Little. Rich Little had a couple of good impressions, but he wasn't a master impressionist. Guys who were really good, there was a guy, and I don't know if you remember back in the 70s, there was a guy named Fred Trevelina. He was on the Jerry Lewis Telethon. He did amazing impressions all around. And I used to love watching the Jerry Lewis Telethon for Fred Trevelina every time, or when he was on Johnny Carson or something like that. So those are mine. I don't know. You?
Carson, that's where I saw him, yes.
Yeah. Yep.
The first guy I really, really liked when I was a kid was Jonathan Winters because my grandfather loved him. And I used to love watching Jonathan Winters.
That was Robin Williams' influence.
Right.
And I loved just watching him, just turn something funny. Just taking anything and making it funny.
I could hear your voice in him.
Just the way he would sit there and just pick up a stick and turning it into something funny.
Right.
He was the first one. I loved Robin Williams. I have a tattoo on my arm that's a tribute to Robin Williams because he was such. I memorized A Night at the Met and used to recite it to my friends because I loved that special so much. But Richard Pryor was a friend of mine up the street. His older brother had comedy albums in the late 70s, had tons of comedy albums, and he played Richard Pryor for me. And I was like shocked that somebody was allowed to stand on stage and just say anything. Just say anything. And I just absorbed all of that and listened to it. And I didn't really understand a lot of the subject matter, but I knew every word of it, you know, and I knew where the punchlines were and everything like that. But Steve Martin was huge for me. I owned, Wild and Crazy Guy. I would listen to this stuff till I knew every word, every breath.
And then you'd go back and you'd talk to your friends about it.
And, there was a weird dynamic in my neighborhood because there were the older kids that were in high school, and then I was like in 7th grade, and then all the other kids were like in 4th and 5th grade. I was the only one of my age. Mm-hmm. Everyone else was either older or younger. So I would hear the albums from the older kids, and memorize them, and then recite them to the younger kids.
You were that influence.
They were my audience, And I looking back at it now, I think that's how I kind of picked up on timing and delivery and those type of things.
Well, because you learned their cadence,
right?
So you learned innately how to deliver a joke and emphasize certain words and certain syllables.
I still
you're
remember
not stealing their material. You're just kind of learning from their delivery.
Right.
Yeah.
I still remember the Steve Martin special on TV where he had the fake commercial where he goes, the one where it's like people ask me all the time, "Hey, Steve, you don't smell like any other guy," because I have my own individual odor. It's called tuna fish sandwich.
I take a tuna
when
fish
I'm going
sandwich.
out to pick up the women, I put 1 or 2 behind my ears, 1 or 2 under each arm, and I don't smell like any other guy.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I found that
and that's
so freaking funny.
I remember going to my friends and going, when I like to date a woman with no neck.
Yes.
This way,
Oh
when
my
we
God,
walk
I
into a
remember that.
bar,
Yes.
every head turns. Except her. She has no neck. Stupid thing.
Me, when we used
Throw dog poop on her shoe.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. We would say, "I break with thee, I break with thee, I break with thee," and then we throw the dog poop on their shoes. And then my brother and I go to the swinging singles bar and look for the girl with the dog poopy on her shoes.
He made it look so easy when he did that.
He
did.
It was so
Exactly.
silly.
It was so outrageous.
Like
That's the
anybody
thing.
could do that. But
Yeah.
He took adult comedy and silly and combined them.
Yeah.
Because like when he'd be on stage and he'd go, "Oh no, I'm getting happy feet,"
Yeah.
and he'd dance around on stage, and it was just it was just silly, but it was hilariously funny because of his face, the way he'd contort his face and dance his body and everything like that.
And because he never let on that he was being silly.
No, he was the character.
The character was serious. He was serious about who he was, even though you thought he was silly.
And that's what made him great.
So who were your influences then?
Yeah.
See, we just turned the tables back.
You did. The first live action TV show I ever saw that blew my mind. I was in
T.J.
single
Hooker.
digits and- Close. Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Oh, yeah, absolute classic.
I remember
right
the
there.
episode. I was like, what is happening? I didn't understand, but I just fell in love with it because they all look like such straight-laced, serious people.
Yes.
Right,
They're
right.
just out there and so goofy. I loved the whole looking like everybody else and looking like a stiff,
Yep.
but having such a warped, devious mind.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. This bird has ceased to exist. It is dead. It's not here. Beautiful
It's going to
plumage.
meet its maker.
It's going to meet its maker. Beautiful plumage.
The plumage doesn't enter into it. It's fleeting demise.
When he did the what is it, the ministry for walking funny
Silly
or
walk,
something, the
yes.
silly walks. I mean, I still laugh. It's 50 something years old. It's the dumbest thing, but it's still
So
hilarious.
nonsensical. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
I grew up watching that and listening to the Not Ready for Primetime Players album.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I discovered stand up, and I watched Jake Johansson in the 80s, and I thought
Wow.
he's my favorite comedian.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. He was
was
never
so
as big
funny.
as he should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was starstruck when I met him.
Really.
There's people who like he's not a household name. People wouldn't know who he was, but
Right.
we're at a comedy club bar, and he's showing me pictures of his kids, and I'm like, or his daughter.
Jake
Like, oh my
Johansson
God,
is
Jake-
showing me
Jake
pictures of his
Johansson.
kid. Yeah, right.
I know. It was like I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
I love his nervous energy. I just related with it.
Right.
And Billy Connolly's another one who is
Oh,
just,
God. Yeah.
when he tells a story, he's all over the place. Like he can do 90 seconds of being hilarious. He could tell a story, but he can't tell an entire story in 90 seconds because he'll get sidetracked.
Oh.
But he'll say a line. He'll be like, "I'll mention." Oh, am I freezing?
Yep.
No,
No,
you're
you're
good.
back. You're back.
All right.
What were you
Thanks.
saying? He could do.
He would tell a story. He'll just throw a line in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's one who couldn't do a story in 90 seconds because
Right.
I'll say Enya. You remember Enya? Like one song, 5 albums long, and then he'll go back to his story.
Right. You know who I think is like that, and I love him? Craig Ferguson.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Craig Ferguson is one of the funniest guys. I follow him on TikTok. He is one of the funniest
He's hilarious.
guys.
And that might be a very, maybe that's a Scottish way of doing
Yeah,
comedy.
maybe. Yeah, that
You
it's
know,
fast talking like that.
Fast talking, but longer stories.
Yeah.
And
Peppered in with punchlines.
yeah.
Yeah.
Being all over the place.
Right. But so we've been all over the place tonight. How about that?
That's all right. It was
How's that for a
interesting as
segue?
hell.
No,
It was
absolutely.
interesting as hell.
So are you, before we get to our last question, are you still doing your podcast? Are you still doing Hello, my name is Jason?
Well, we're changing it.
Okay.
I want
Format
something.
change? The executives came in?
Yes, the executives came in. They're doing a restructuring. They said we're not going to lay you off. I was like, but it's me. I'm you. You're me. So
the executive producers are doing a little rework.
I got annoyed. I just got annoyed with the name Hi, I'm Jason. So we're changing it to the Offbeat and Awkward Show.
I like it.
This way it can be a little more niche.
Yeah.
Niche.
Nishi.
Nephew.
Nietzsche.
Niche.
Nietzsche?
Nietzsche.
No, get it? Nietzsche?
Yeah.
Nietzsche guy.
Never mind. Geechee guy. Yes.
All right, I got
Another
a
funny
thing
comic from
I
the
gotta
80s.
get.
Yeah. Anyway. No,
Well-
so you're still doing it. You're just changing the format and the name.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have people who are a little more different, on a little offbeat. I want to get the curator for the Mutter Museum.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
do some interesting. The dream guest would be like John Waters or something like.
Oh yeah.
Somebody who's really out there, even though he could be skimming through Facebook and see this and say, "Not on your life."
Yeah, right.
You
I don't
never
think
know.
he would be that mean.
No, I don't get that sense. I'll come on and dress as him. I'll just slick my hair back and do a little pencil mustache.
the little
if you want.
mustache.
I'll figure out how to do an impression of him if you want.
Or if you want Gilbert to come back from the dead, that works too.
See how I pull away?
You could go
from
on
my-
Cameo with that.
Yeah, I know. I know. I should pick up this
Oh
Cameo
my
business.
God.
I know. I never thought of that, doing Cameo.
Do a whole side business like Cameo
Just
of
doing
impressions.
Cameo.
Do some
right?
AI Gilbert facial.
Yeah.
recognition
I got to do the
and throw
deep
voice
fake
in.
thing.
Yeah.
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 I got to figure out a good deep fake program. So listen, we wrap up the show every time with a question that we love to ask comics.
Our
Because,
favorite question.
because every comic seems to have had this experience, even if you've only been doing comedy for 6 months. But if you've been doing it for 24 years, I'm sure you've had those gigs.
You
where
might have one.
We call it the funny bad gig story, and that's the gig that wasn't funny the night of. It actually made you question whether or not you wanted to do comedy anymore. But
Maybe you just wanted to stay with the van with the patients during the
yeah,
day.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
just forget about the night gig.
yeah. Hey kids,
Have you
we're
ever
going
brought-
on a
you ever-
field trip.
you
We're
ever
going to
bombed
see
so
Hanson in the
bad?
park.
What's
Nice
that?
callback. You ever bomb so bad you just find it hilarious?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it.
yes.
That's exactly
Then
it.
This is what we're talking about.
Right, that story you told. I have a really similar story.
Okay.
I got asked to do comedy at a synagogue, and it's the synagogue that was famous for. Hold on, I'm choking. I'm a little choked up.
He's getting he's getting worked up already. He
Don't
hasn't
get it.
even told the
Oh,
story
fun.
yet. It's not David Berkowitz's synagogue, was it?
yeah, right.
Rabbi Newlander.
Rabbi,
He's the rabbi who had his wife murdered in Cherry Hill.
no, I didn't hear. Well, it doesn't get.
There's
up
a
here.
mini series. Well, I mean,
Really?
it was like a national. It made national headlines.
Okay.
So
you
I got
know,
asked to do a comedy show there, and they said, "Whatever
Well-
you do, don't mention Newlander."
if any place needed levity,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't mention him. And so, what did you do?
I went up and I was doing okay,
Yeah.
and there was a woman sitting up front, and she had a yarmulke on, which I thought was unusual because that's a guy thing.
right, right.
Oh,
I said, "Oh, you're wearing a yarmulke." She immediately looked at me and just yelled. She said, "It's 20." It was 2012 because that's part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "It's 2012. We can do whatever we want." And the whole place, just like your reaction, they turned on me. All of a sudden, I became
Really?
Hitler. Yeah,
Instead of like looking at her like, "Lady, calm down," he just asked a question. It's not traditional.
nobody.
Well,
They turned on
They
you.
could have said it's a lesbian cancer, and this is what she does, but they never told me
Right.
that.
Right.
just said-
right.
You non-psychic son of a bitch.
Well, they were looking
And-
at you like Hitler because someone did say that Hitler would have loved you. So that
Right,
makes
yeah.
perfect sense.
Should have pulled a
took-
comb out of your pocket and made the.
It took everything in my power to say, "Where's Rabbi Newlander when we need him? Huh? I got another one for him."
Oh, did you really say that?
I couldn't.
You
Oh,
should have.
you
That
totally
would have been
should've.
awesome.
I really
Awesome.
should have. I remember.
Oh my God.
I brought up the next act, and he did great. They were so happy because it was anybody but me. And then
Like
Oh, yeah.
Scott. Scott knows that feeling.
That's awful.
Yeah,
That is
and then-
awful.
after that, I was about to grab the mic, and the little old man grabs the mic before me, and he goes, "Mrs. Cohen from the bakery down the street provided some lovely pastries in the back." Before that, nobody told me we were going to take a break before I brought up the headliner.
Oh my God.
And he's like, "So please indulge in the bakeries. We'll be right back with more comedy."
He took your job.
And then, so I'm waiting patiently. I'm kind of sitting on the stage like this. There's no place for me to go.
While everybody's having Danish in the back.
Yeah.
And black and white cookies.
The headliner he was really nice. He said that was inexcusable. They could have warned you. They could have said something. They didn't
Yeah.
have to yell at you like that. Then I went back up. I said, "All right, they're sitting down. I'm going to introduce you." I went up and grabbed the mic, and before I grabbed it, the old man grabs it before me and he holds it to him, and he goes, "What do you want?" I was like,
I think
I'm not
you're
gonna
done,
do
young
more-
man.
I know. I said,
You bastard, you. I'm
said,
not done
gonna
my
do more
Danish yet.
time.
Don't worry, I'm not doing more time. I'm just introducing, right?
Exactly. He's like, okay. Thank you for trusting me.
Right. Don't tell another joke, you bastard.
That oh my god, that killed my confidence.
Oh, I can
It
imagine.
was so funny though.
Right? And that's the funny bad gig. It as you get further away from it, it becomes funny. But that time that it was happening,
That night.
you wanted to
I
crawl
felt
up and
so
die.
hated. Yes.
Yes. Right.
There was somebody asked me to do a theater gig in upstate New Jersey.
And most of the time, theater gigs, you're thinking, oh, cool.
Yeah,
Theater
this is gonna
gigs
be
are
fun.
great.
Yeah.
Theater gigs are great. But when I got there was this little mountain town in way up North Jersey. And it said Cinema 1, Pineapple Express, Cinema 2, comedy show. This isn't the theater gig I thought it was.
No, it was a movie theater gig. Right.
It was a movie theater gig. And you're trying to do your show. It said first 30 people get popcorn. Everybody got popcorn.
Oh my God.
And you hear the explosions from the next
From
cinema.
Pineapple Express. Yeah,
Pineapple
right.
Express. I remember, and it's black bear country up there. I don't really get up there that much.
Yeah.
And I asked the guy who was running the show, I said, are there a lot of black bears up here? And he looks at me like, why? Like,
I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yeah. He said,
Why
oh,
did
you're
you
not from here. Oh, okay. Like, oh, is there some secret black bear cult? I had no idea what was happening. It was so
Right,
weird.
right.
I don't know. It just reminded me of that story. Well, that wasn't a hell gig. It was just
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a weird one. Yeah.
Just uncomfortable.
You're like, are there
that's all.
black bears up here? Why? Do you know the secret handshake?
Who's asking?
It's the club.
Who's asking?
Who's
Yeah,
asking?
you looked
Yeah,
so
right.
relieved you really looked relieved when I was like, I just know we're in the mountains.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
I was just trying to make conversation.
Meanwhile, he's trying to
that's all.
he's trying to cover up the black bear attack that happened in the theater parking lot the night at
Right.
the night
last
before. Yeah.
comedian didn't make it to his car.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that's awesome.
The shit, we talk about it all the time, the crazy places, the crazy situations that comedians go in. You never hear of bands that have had to stand in front of a cigarette machine or perform in a bowling alley in Lane 5 or anything like that.
Lane 5.
Right, but comedy, they think they can just plug it in anywhere and just
Wherever.
make it work, you know.
I would love to do comedy on a bowling lane. That would be amazing.
Oh,
No, you wouldn't.
No, yeah,
Trust
no, you
me.
wouldn't. That's a Rhode Island staple.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, there's you'll be at Lang's Bolorama next week if you need to.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did you say you're from Western Massachusetts?
No, my ex-wife is from Western Mass, so I lived out there for a couple of years, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I lived
Let's
in
say because-
Springfield, and my ex-wife is from Pittsfield.
All right, that's like Norman Rockwell, Daniel Chester
Yeah.
French territory.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Not
in
really
fact-
the hub of comedy.
No. No.
But
in
a lot of
fact-
black bears, which is
yes.
kind of weird.
Yeah. We went camping up on October Mountain one time, or not October Mountain, Mount Greylock, and there were black bears there that night. Actually, it was funny. So I'm in the medical sales field. When I first started, I went to one. I had one doctor in Stockbridge. I went there. It was a farmhouse. I walk in, and on the wall is a picture of, the Norman Rockwell painting with the little boy with his pants down, and the doctor's like getting the shot ready to stick him, to give him the shot. And then I look next to it, and there's a newspaper article with Dr. Campbell, who was the actual doctor in all of those Norman Rockwell paintings, and the doctor that I was calling on. He literally took over the practice from the doctor in the Norman Rockwell paintings.
Wow.
Yeah. You know what his last name was?
That was based on a real guy.
Lapine.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Peen.
That's his wife. I love it. Did you hear what he
I
said?
thought that's where you were
He
going
said,
with that.
Peen.
Oh, Peter,
That was like
that's
a
just
No, that
nasty.
was like a Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, he said bean.
Shut up, Beavis.
Yeah.
Don't make me kick your ass again. No,
I
but
just
yeah.
I don't even want to be a guest. I just want to sit back and watch you two riff on each other.
Just go back and forth. That's it. I know. No, so on your tell our audience, when is your podcast out? Like, what day does it come out every week, and what platforms are you on?
Well, it's going to be on Facebook and YouTube to start.
Okay.
Okay.
Mostly YouTube, but we're rebranding, and we're going to start in about a week or two.
Okay.
All right. Good.
Are you still going to do it on Twitch?
No,
Not as
we're
much.
giving up Twitch.
I know. We've all tried. I love the channel, but we just don't. We can't compete with the video game people.
No.
It's amazing. Like we're actually
scantily clad women.
We're
Yes,
actually providing like entertainment and funny content.
Yeah, but we don't
But
have
some
tits.
fucking 12-year-old playing Fortnite or Call of Duty gets millions of viewers. Like I remember being at Disney with my kids, and we're walking through one of the gift shops, and my kids are all geeking out, and they're like, "Dad, see that kid over there?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's famous. He's famous. Who is he?" Oh, he plays. He does like video game tutorials. I go,
If
"That
he
kid's
plays
famous."
games in front of a lot of people.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Unbelievable.
amazing. I don't know how it happens.
Well,
I like that you said Call of Duty.
yeah,
I
because
know.
that shows his age.
12 years old. Yeah, I know. Shut up.
That game was popular like
Fortnite.
The
4
fact
years
that he
ago.
said- The fact that he
Fortnite
said
is 4 years ago.
instead of.
yes.
Oh, Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Hey, Call of
you
Duty.
can get that at the Walmarts.
No. It's because I said Call of Duty instead of Call of Duty.
That's
Yeah,
why
it's
I'm
my-
saying.
It's my
Thank you
accent.
for explaining.
So, Jason, you're
Yeah.
going to be on the YouTube
Yeah, so you're on the YouTube
and on the Facebook.
and the Facebook.
And find me on Instagram at SuperJpo71.
Super JPO at 71.
SUPER.
I will put a link to that in today's show
Link tree.
notes.
And there's a story behind this.
Okay.
It's a coloring book
Fly that refused what?
to die.
The die.
The fly
To die.
Oh,
fly
to die.
that refused to die.
All right. And is that
Yeah,
are you
it's,
tackling that on the
about-
first
It's about a
episode?
story. No, this is a story that happened to me before a comedy show. Where I'll sum it up real quick because you got to go. I was peeing before a show, knocked the fly into the toilet with my pee. He flew to safety. I was happy to see him live. He turns around and lands on my cheek. You son of a bitch. I couldn't blame the guy. And then I told a very long version of that story when I got on stage. Somebody wrote a poem about that story
And sent it to you?
and sent it to me. And I was like, how can I take this further? I'm going to make a coloring book out of it.
Oh my
So-
God, the fly that refused to die. You made a coloring book. That's awesome.
That's brilliant. Censored.
For the folks that are only listening, if you could only see what he just showed us, it's hilarious.
You know what?
We
If you
should
buy the coloring book,
buy
you
the
can
coloring,
see it.
yes. How do people get the coloring book?
On my Instagram link tree. That's it. The link tree
All
and
right.
the profile. on Instagram.
I will put the link to your Instagram in today's show notes. So anybody listening, go there. You can get the coloring book. I'm sure you'll have notices on there about your podcast once it's up and running, and where they
let
can
us
find
know.
it and everything, so people can follow you there. You definitely got to check Jason out. He's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you
mean,
so
we used to
much, guys.
we
Seriously.
would watch his show leading into ours and
laugh.
sit here
I know.
laughing our ass off and just enjoying ourselves. Loved having him on tonight. Jason was absolutely great hanging out with you.
Anytime you
guys
want to
are
come
awesome.
back on, let us know.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Yeah,
Awesome.
no,
and,
absolutely.
And let us know when the new episodes are starting to go up. We'll give it a shout out on future
Yeah,
episodes
definitely.
too.
We'll put it out there for you.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
All right. And that was Jason Pollock. I love him. I love
my God, he
talking
is
to
just
him. He's
naturally funny.
Exactly.
Just naturally funny. He's got a great wit, very sharp.
yeah.
You know, you could tell he's a good writer because of just his delivery and the way
Yeah.
he words things and everything like that.
Yeah.
I just very, very funny guy.
That was fun.
You know, I definitely want to, you know, can't wait to see what his
And
new
I would.
podcast is going to be like.
I'd love to go down to Philly because I've wanted to see that Mutter Museum for
should.
years. I'd
You
love
should.
to go down.
Well, I think that's
So-
another new location that maybe
Hey,
the three
maybe
of us
we-
can arrange a show together.
Yeah, we do a show together and do something. We've been actually talking about an idea that one of our guests gave us.
Yes.
And we're working with the guys from the Mixtape podcast on potentially doing something over the summer.
That would be really cool and,
we'll
really fun.
We'll unveil the idea in idea. That was my Rhode Island accent coming out.
That's kind of Rhode Island, upstate
That was-
New York.
Yeah, it was a
It
wicked.
just-
That was a wicked Rhode Island thing.
That was a wicked
But,
idea you had.
We have an idea, and we're going to unveil it in Scottober because I think if we can record something out in Ohio with the guys from Mixtape,
Oh my God! Did you say that out loud?
yeah, then we have this this great idea. So yeah, we're working on something with them. In fact, we got to set up that meeting. But listen, folks, we thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed tonight's show. If you enjoy the show, please, again, we ask every week, 5-star written review really helps with the algorithms. It helps people find the show. Tell a friend about us. We're really trying to grow the podcast. If you enjoy it, please tell a friend if they're looking for a fun podcast to listen to.
And the reason we ask every week is just
Yeah.
because how important it is. It does help us out a lot. So
Yeah.
every time we get one of those 5-star written reviews, anytime a friend of yours checks us out, hopefully they take the time to give us one. It just really, really is a big help.
It
And it
boosts-
just costs you 30 seconds of your time. So
Right. It just boosts the show into the algorithm. So yeah, listen, next week we've got Frank Vignola coming up, another New York, New Jersey guy that I used to work with years ago. Used to come to the Comedy Connection all the time when I was playing there. And then Scott recently worked with him
At Daryl's house.
Daryl's house and had a great
Daryl's House Club had a lot of
great
fun
night.
with him. Great guy.
So Frank's coming up next week. In 2 weeks, we have, or 2 or 3 weeks, we're not sure because we're kind of bulking up on episodes. We've got we've got Jonathan Groff coming on.
No,
and
not that one.
we're even thinking of calling the episode. No, not that one. Here's the sad part. Because this Jonathan Groff has his own major fucking accomplishments. Yes, he's not the guy that was in Mindhunter and
Or Hamilton.
because that guy is an actor. This is Jonathan Groff, the writer. And
Who has a resume that anybody would be jealous of.
I mean, Conan O'Brien, writer on the Conan O'Brien show. He was the head writer on Blackish. He was the writer on Happy Ending.
Yes.
He's written for so many things. And I talked about it years ago. He was one of the comics who came out of Boston. I used to work with him all the time in these little restaurant bar gigs all the time. And he was one of those guys where, again, he had a very calm stage presence. He was the type that was just, delivering his jokes. He wasn't like wild and crazy on stage.
No, but just really
his stuff was amazingly funny.
Yeah.
Because of that. So yeah, we're really excited to have him on. And then we've got some other surprise guests coming up.
Yes.
Which is going to be fun.
It's going to be a fun summer. It's going to be a really fun summer.
It's going to be a fun summer. And guess what? When the summer's over, it leads into autumn.
Yay.
Yay. And guess what? They just announced a whole slew of Pain House investigations coming
I know.
up.
I'm going to get my ass
So
dragged
maybe
back
we'll
there again.
Yeah, maybe we'll come and do another Pain House investigation. But we are working.
Well, now that they know me in the barn.
That's right. They do in the barn. And then, we did our investigation at the Conjuring House. So
Yep.
we're going to have that data
Yep.
and evidence in Scottober. I've also talked to Jason from Ghost Hunters about coming back on the show and possibly getting
Some other cast members.
some of the other cast members on. So it's going to be a fun Scottober. I'm really excited for the rest of this year.
A lot of stuff, great stuff coming up.
So
a lot
again,
of great stuff coming up.
Please tell your friends about us. We really appreciate it. And other than that,
We will talk to you
next week.